All right, folks, this segment we are talking about the 2016 election and what it means for millennials. Some recent polling has come out suggesting that millennials are now moving closer towards wanting Hillary. But the question we're going to ask ourselves today is, will they show up to vote?
That's a good question. One, you guys should show up. Two, it's total shameless plug, but next week for the New Leaders Council, I will be doing a nationwide call about the state of the race. And we'll make sure we tweet it out and talk about it, because we'll be talking about millennials and the state of the race right before the presidential debate.
Which we'll also talk about later in the show.
So you want to stay tuned for that. Follow our Twitter
got
handle.
It all.
What we might do is do another one of those like videos of me in a hotel somewhere right before we go on, and so folks can get the number and log on and all that other stuff.
Yeah, we could do a live stream or something.
Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll Facebook Live it.
There you go, Facebook Live. If you're not liking us on Facebook, facebook.com/Fowler Show.
Well, Facebook Live the National Call.
Get after it. Okay.
Bam!
Anyway.
Look at that. We just created magic.
Genius. All right, so this is polling coming out of Democracy Corps. They were founded by longtime Democratic consultants. You may have heard of him, James Carville, as well as Stanley Greenberg.
The Raging Cajun.
The Raging Cajun. Here's what he has to say. Millennials are now poised to give Hillary Clinton and Democrats a big margin in November's election if they are engaged to vote and if progressives are smart in dealing with the third-party vote. Millennial voters are in a very different place than 2 weeks ago. Democratic millennials have started to consolidate for Clinton, but their Republican contemporaries have not done the same for Trump. Gary Johnson's millennial vote is now a repository for most of those anti-Trump Republicans. Let's talk about the numbers a little bit. Okay, so Clinton is winning in huge margins with unmarried women, including white unmarried women, and is winning 78% with minority millennial voters. She has a 12-point margin with white college grads, including a 20-point margin with white college women, and a respectable 44% of white working-class millennial women. Now, talking about the numbers, Clinton has a 54% share of the millennial vote, compared to just 29% for Donald Trump, 14% for Gary Johnson, and only 3% for Jill Stein. Now, in 2012, just to give you a look at what that looked like, Barack Obama had 64% of millennials, so almost 10 points higher than Hillary. But Republican Mitt Romney had 34%, which is just about where Trump is. It's only a 5-point difference. So we're seeing a big shift. Now, Richard, my question to you is, how do they get to the polls? What happens next?
Oh, there's a couple things, and I said this earlier today. So there's one more debate left, and what the Clinton campaign has got to do is this. They've got to get away.
Who's moderating this next debate?
Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace. That'll be interesting.
My colleague. Yeah, that was my colleague.
Anyway. My coworker, Chris Wallace.
Here's what the Clinton campaign has to do. Because they do have to coalesce millennials. And it's more than just getting Michelle and Barack to go out there and campaign. She has one more debate and about 3 more weeks to do this. She needs to focus. Donald Trump is imploding, right? He's like a circus sideshow on the main stage. Everybody knows that. That's a given. So what Hillary's got to do in the next 3 weeks is really crystallize what she is going to do. She needs to pick 3 things. Like, when I get elected, here are the 3 things that I'm going to do. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3. I don't care.
What do you think they are?
I don't care what things they are.
I know you don't care, but what are the best 3?
I think if she's trying to go to millennials, she needs to crystallize and say she's going to invest in infrastructure, right? Just build schools, roads, bridges.
I don't know. Do millennials care about that?
I mean, I think they do.
I feel like millennials care more about like corruption and money and politics.
I'm getting there.
Okay. Is that point 2?
The second point is student loans.
Unfortunately, Richard, sorry, just going back to the first thing. I feel like no one really gets their rocks off on infrastructure except you.
No, I think people do get their rocks off at infrastructure. I mean, maybe it's just me. So. But no, I mean, no. I
mean, it's really important if you understand why.
No, but I don't. No, that's not true. I think people do. It's how you talk about the infrastructure, right? Like, people think that teachers should get paid better. People think that kids should go to modern day schools. Like, those numbers are through the roof.
Sure.
Right? People feel as though there should be hospitals.
But do millennials feel that way if they don't have a kid? Like, if you're
anybody who takes a train to work wants a train to work.
Yeah, I'm talking about teachers in schools, though.
But I'm just talking about how. I mean, it's how you talk about it. But I concur. So let's do this. Let's say she doesn't talk about infrastructure. I'll redo my 3. Raise the minimum wage.
That's a good one. That's very important.
I will raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, or whatever she's raising it to.
Yep.
Right. The second thing is a very one-line sentence answer to how she's going to fix the student loan debt crisis.
That's
like, I'm going to cap interest rates, allow everybody to refinance, and allow private loans to come back into the public system. And the third thing is either money in politics. It could be, you know, ending Citizens United. It could be whatever. She just needs to say, here are the 3 things I'm going to do, and here is, like, just say that. Excuse me.